beautiful bookish friends, I'm Bowen and welcome to my channel. This video is going to be a Fairyloot February vlog. Now, Fairyloot February was coined by Vanessa over at Read with Dr. B. I will put the link to the video in the description. Now, the read-along was technically meant to go from the 9th to the 15th, I believe. However, for some of the books that I wanted to read for this video, I wanted to use my Spotify listening hours for it, and the audiobooks are like 10 hours each. So I couldn't do it in the middle of the month. So I know when my Spotify resets. My Spotify resets on the 2nd of the month at midday my time. So I knew that if I timed it right and did this video kind of at the end of the month instead of in the middle, then I could use my Spotify listening hours and I could get more read. My TBR for this video consists of 2 series. So this is the series that I wanted to use my Spotify listening hours for. It's the Caraval series by Stephanie Garber, which includes Caraval, Legendary and Finale. Legendary I do have the audiobook for on Audible, but Caraval and Finale I wanted to use my Spotify listening hours for. These are obviously the Fairyloot editions. It says Caraval across the spines. It does have these red sprayed edges. It looks really cute under the dust jacket as well. I just, quite frankly, cannot be asked to show you right now. And the other series that I wanted to get to is the Into the Crooked Place duology by Alexandra Christo, which includes Into the Crooked Place and The City of Spells. These, once again, are the Fairyloot editions. They do have these stenciled sprayed edges. It's just on the back of it. It's not on the top or the bottom. Because I have read from this author before and I want to know if I really enjoy this one as well. And technically, I have already filmed this entire video and then I got to the end and realised I hadn't done an intro or an outro. So, I know what I think of these, but you'll have to watch the video to find out. So the first book I'm going to be reading for this video is going to be Into the Crooked Place by Alexandra Christo. This is just the dust jacket. I actually have the book here. It's got these really quite cool sprayed edges on it. And I'm currently about 100-ish pages into it. I didn't know that this was going to have queer main characters in it when I was going in, but I'm very, very happy that it did. I honestly got to one part near the beginning where one of the female main characters calls another one pretty, and I'm there like, please be gay, please be gay, please be gay. And then it gets to another main character, and 2 of the female main characters in this are exes, and I'm like, yes, they're be gay. I'm very happy about this. I don't know what the fuck happened to my accent there, but I just love, well, I'm not expecting queer characters in books and there are queer characters in books. Wow, chef's kiss, love it. So I should probably tell you a little bit about what this is about, which I'm really bad at doing, so just bear with me a minute. I have the synopsis literally in front of me. You know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna read you the synopsis as best as I can because it's got place names, but the fantasy place names, so let's give it a go. The streets of Kriaji, which I presume that's how it's pronounced, I'm really probably wrong, are for the deadly and for the dreamers, but 4 crooks know just how much magic they need up their sleeve to survive. TBS sells dark charms and potions until she can escape the city. Wesley does whatever it takes to further his criminal empire. Cara makes a deadly name for herself in the fighting rings, and Saxony plots revenge for the people who destroyed her family. After a sinister new magic hits the streets, these 4 outsiders must come together to save the city before it's too late, but with their enemies at all sides, they can trust nobody, least of all each other. So it follows 3 female main characters and 1 male main character. I don't know why I had it in my head when I first picked it up that it was 2 female main characters and 2 male main characters. That is not the case, but 2 of the female main characters at the point where I'm at now are exes, but there's still like a little bit of lingering tension there, so I'm really just eating up that. I was kind of apprehensive going into this one anyway because I've only read one other book by this author and it's one I have reread for the 3rd time last month, and that's To Kill a Kingdom, and I absolutely fucking love To Kill a Kingdom with my whole heart and soul. But with this one I wasn't 100% sure how I would feel about it, and honestly, especially with the main character of Wesley, he's kind of giving Kaz Brecker but not as smart. And because it's like, it's his city and he runs the gang and they all work for him, it kind of is giving the same energy, but it's just not done as well because, quite frankly, 6 of Crows is immaculate. I'm trying not to compare the 2 in my head because that book will always be superior to literally anything else. But at the minute, it's not bad, but I'm not loving it, so I'll check back in when I have actual thoughts about it. So I got to page 170 of Into the Crooked Place, and honestly, I just cannot find a single fuck to give. It's not that the book is bad in any way, it's just giving really basic YA fantasy vibes. And that's kind of what a lot of the YA fantasy that I've been reading in the past 2 years has been giving. It's just really basic. There's nothing really new or different about it. It's just not grabbing me in any way. I'm just kind of powering through it for the sake of getting it off my TBR, which is just not really a good enough reason to power through it. I mean, I could. I'm like somewhat almost interested in it enough, but if I put it down for tonight and I don't come back to it by the end of this video, then I'm not going to come back to it. Which is honestly such a shame, because I love To Kill a Kingdom by this author, but I'm not 100% sure whether if I'd have read that with my eyeballs, I would have loved it as much, because I listened to that book on audio, like, all 3 times that I've read it, and I love the audiobook for that. So, is it the book itself, like the story itself, which, yes, I do love, but I feel like there are definitely some books where, because I listened to the audiobook, I rated it higher than I would have done if I'd have read it with my eyes. And there are some books that I will only ever listen to on audio, like Six of Crows, for example. I will only ever listen to the audiobook of that one. And the audiobook for this one is only available on Audible, and I just don't think I'm loving it enough to bother spending a credit on it. And like I said, I'm about 170 pages of the way through this one right now, which means I have 300 pages left of this. The sequel, which I was also planning on reading for this video, is 413 pages, which is over 700 pages left of this duology. Now, do I care enough to sit through 700 pages left of this book? I honestly don't think that I do. So I'm going to kind of like soft DNF it for tonight, but if I don't pick it up by the end of this video, then it's going to be a hard DNF, which I'm not happy about. But we must prioritise our mental health so we don't slump, because I've been having such a great reading month in February, and so help me God, if this video puts me into a slump, I'm going to be very, very upset. Because it's only really 2 series that I wanted to read for this video, which is this one and the Caraval series. So in total, it would have been 5 books. But if I DNF this one straight out the gate, then it's only going to be 4. 3.5. 3 and almost a half. But you get my point. I don't know why I thought doing a YA fantasy vlog would be a good idea. But we're trying. We're trying. But honestly, at least it will get them from my TBR. So tomorrow I have, like, all of the adulting to do, which is honestly such a fucking scam. It's not even funny. So I'm going to pick up the audiobook for Caraval tomorrow while I get some adulting stuff done, because at least if I have to do the adulting, then I still have stories I can listen to, which makes it all worth it, really. I will check in tomorrow once I have started Caraval. This is my Fairyloot edition of Caraval. Like, it is really stinking pretty. It's got this underneath the dust jacket, when I can get the dust jacket off. It says, I want to feel love in every form, and it's just got these red sprayed edges. It's quite cute. I like this one. And I'm about a little over halfway through it at the minute. I have just got to day 4 of Caraval. And I don't know whether or not it is because I'm listening to the audiobook that I am liking this one more than Into the Crooked Place. But I am definitely liking this one more than Into the Crooked Place. I feel like it is moving a little bit slowly, but the reveals and the twists and the turns in this, I'm really quite enjoying it. I kind of figured it would remind me just a little bit of The Night Circus, but it has been a fair few years since I read The Night Circus, so I don't know whether that comparison is in fact accurate. While I'm not 100% grasped the concept of the game's challenges that she has to go through yet, I am liking the relationship between Julian and Scarlett. And Scarlett is very much giving eldest daughter vibes, and I must protect my younger sister at all times, and no matter what the cost is, which I 100% get. I really am enjoying this. I don't know if I've read it with my eyeballs, whether or not I would love it as much, but we just got like a reveal, but I don't know how much I trust that reveal, if you know what I mean. Because things are not always as they seem in Caraval. So we got a reveal, but is it true? I'm not 100% sure. So I honestly think I could finish this today. I have done a little bit of housework. It's not done, but it's better. And that'll fucking do. Because I was, in my head, planning to see my best friend this weekend. However, that was an in my head plan, not like an actual we make plans sort of plan. So when I texted her, I was like, hey, are you free this weekend? The answer was no. So I guess I'm staying home this weekend, because apparently you need to actually consult the people before you make a plan in your own head to just hang out with them, because maybe they'd be busy. And maybe they have a life. Just because I don't have a life doesn't mean that that is the case for everyone. So this weekend is just going to be me and my books. I'm not all that mad about it though, if I'm honest. But I probably can finish this today. So I am just going to sit and listen to the audiobook, more than likely, while I play video games. Because while, yes, there is more housework that I could be doing, and there are other things that I could be doing, I don't fucking want to. So I'm just going to sit and play games while I listen to this audiobook. And that is going to be the entire day that I have today. While I don't actually read that many fantasy books anymore, I've read enough that I don't trust a death in the first book of a trilogy or first book in a series. There's just something about it where I'm there like, you're not dead, you'll be back. Because so help me God, if they are actually dead, like dead, I'm gonna be very upset. But it's only book 1 out of 3. So I don't believe they're like dead. It's part of the game, it's an illusion. This is all just speculation at this point, because to the part where I just got to, they're dead. But are they though? I honestly don't think so. I do not think this character has actually died. But it's like the light left their eyes and I'm there like, I don't believe you. They took something that makes it so they're dead for like a little bit, like a Juliet situation in Romeo and Juliet, you know, she takes a little something, makes it look like she's dead for a bad day, and then she comes back to life. You know, I figure it's gonna be something along those sort of lines. Or there's some form of magic that brings them back. But I just don't believe that they're dead. And maybe it is wishful thinking because I really don't want this character to be dead, but I just do not believe that they are gone. I refuse to accept it. I'm in the denial stage, and no, you cannot convince me. We are just 100% going to ignore that I have my Robin Hood hoodie on. The hood is keeping my head warm, and it is fucking freezing. I mean, my house is set to, what, like 21 degrees, and I am still fucking cold. Because I'm always fucking cold. But I did finish Caraval, and honestly, I think I'm going to give it like a 3.5. Because while there were parts of it that definitely did hook me and did have me really interested, I'm probably not going to think about this series again. I am going to continue this series because apparently I am a monumental fucking idiot that thought, yeah, let's read YA fantasy series for a video. Have I actively enjoyed any of the YA fantasy series that I have picked up in the last, like, 2 years? I mean, not really. Like, I liked The Diviners when I read that, but the last book was really disappointing. I am somewhat intrigued by the next book in this, but I think they're going to change the main character from Scarlet, who is the main character of this one, to someone else. And that someone else is someone that I'm not really a big fan of. So I am going to pick up the rest of this series because the reason why Caraval is the series that I chose for this video is, one, because I have access to the audiobooks and I can finish it all within a week, but two, because one of the main characters from this series, I don't think in this book, really, but I think one of the main characters from this series is one of the main characters in Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is a series that I do want to get to because I feel like that series has been hyped up a lot and I feel like that series is one I'm going to enjoy. But I personally feel like I have to read this series first before I can get to that one. I did like all of the twists and turns and the games and everything in this. There was something about it that just didn't do it for me. And again, I just think I'm too old for YA now. I've just gone past that part of my life. I'm not saying that I can't enjoy YA. It has to be done in a specific sort of way that it's going to intrigue me and entice me into picking up more. And I feel like because this series came out in, 2015? 2017. My bad. I feel like if I'd have read it when it came out, I would have been more in the mood to pick it up. Or hell, even back in 2019, when I want to say I got it in 2019, but I don't think that's true. I've not had an active Fairyloot subscription for a good few years now. I think I stopped it in 2022, and I had this subscription for 3 years, so from 2019 to 2022. Because it came to a point where I wasn't reading all the books that I had. Like, between the subscription boxes and the books that I bought outside the subscription boxes, I think I had 100 in total, and I'd read maybe 30 at the point when I stopped. And there were so many of the books that I was getting that I was just no longer interested in. So it didn't make sense. Now, the special editions that they have are absolutely fucking beautiful. I'm not really interested in the books that they put out anymore, which is kind of a shame. It just doesn't fit the mood, the vibe, and I've lost my hood. So I think I'm going to pick up Legendary probably tomorrow. I'm just going to call it a night now, because it's getting on a bit. It's 6:30, but like, I have been reading this all day and I kind of just want no thoughts in my brain now. And another like magical fantasy world that I have to wrap my brain around, even if it is sort of the same world as this one. I just don't want to start the next one like immediately. Like, I'm interested, I'm not desperate, you know? So I think I might start the second book possibly tomorrow, because tomorrow is Sunday and I have work on Monday. So I might pick it up tomorrow, or I might listen to a little bit of it while I'm getting ready for work. But for tonight, I am just calling it a day. So I'm like halfway through Legendary at this point, and while the first book follows Scarlet, this one follows Donatella, and I don't like Donatella. So I'm just listening to the audiobook of this one, and I'm just slowly meandering my way through it. And it got me thinking, which books from my young adult shelf have I only listened to on audio, and do I think that I would read them physically with my eyeballs and still have the same level of enjoyment? And like, how much of it was the fact that I listened to it, and how much of it was because I read it at the time that I did? Like, for example, I listened to the audiobook for Daughter of Smoke and Bone. Now, this is the Illumicrate edition, not Fairyloot edition, but I think if I'd have read this physically, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. I loved the audiobook of this, and to be fair, my favourite characters in this are the best friend and her partner. I know his name was Mick, and I know the main character was Karoo because of the way that, like, the audiobook narrator said it. Very strange way that they said it, but, like, I don't know as I would enjoy this one if I read it now, but I don't think I would ever pick this up and read it with my eyes. Cruel Prince series I read with my eyes. The Prison Healer, I feel like this is one that it really doesn't matter, because the first time I read The Prison Healer book 1, I read it with my eyes and I really, really loved it, and then I reread it on the audiobook and I still really loved it. I think this is honestly probably one of my favourite young adult fantasy series. Honestly, ever. The only thing that puts it out is Six of Crows, and Six of Crows is up there on the top of my shelf, and I've only ever listened to that one on audio. I don't think I've ever even tried to physically read it, but I've read it 3 times on audio, and it's still spectacular every time, and it will still make me cry like a little bitch every time. So I think Six of Crows is definitely one where I could read it with my eyes, it's just the audiobook is superior. It's the same sort of concept as like Daisy Jones and the Six. You can read it with your eyeballs and still like it, and still love it. Like, the first time I read Daisy Jones, I read it with my eyes. Listen to the audiobook is top tier. Scythe, I listened to the audiobook for. I don't know about this one. Honestly, I think with Scythe, it could go either way. Most of it, I think, partly was the time period when I read it, because I read it like 5 years ago or something. I do remember when I was listening to the audiobook for the last book, it starts with like a POV of the villain. I got like 10 seconds in and I was like, nope, I gotta make a cup of tea because I gotta calm down because this person is going to stress me the fuck out. I do remember that. The Illuminae files, I think I listened to the audiobooks for those, but honestly, because of the format that it's in, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. Like, it's a different experience to listen to this series than it is to read it physically, but I do really love this series and the format and everything. Just, that is such a good series. The Diviners is one I read last year and I listened to them all on audio. And I feel like that one probably was the audiobook narrator, because the audiobook narrator was just so creepy in a way that, like, it got me, and this is, like, young adult. I mean, I'm a pansy, but you get my point. Definitely with some of them, I feel like it was the audiobook. Some of it might have been the time period. Like, Daughter of Smoke and Bone is the one where I'm there, like, I don't know if I would like this on a reread. Either way, I absolutely would not pick this up with my eyes. But I'm still, obviously, in my dressing gown because I've just woken up. In fact, I'm still a little tired. I've only had one cup of tea so far today, and it's just not enough. I also have this, like, weird headache in the base of my skull. I don't know what the fuck I've done. But apparently, according to my friend, that means I'm not drinking enough water. She may have a point. So, my plan for today is to do some journaling and listen to my audiobook, and hopefully I will finish it today. Because I only have, like, what, 3.5 hours left, so I'm gonna go do that. So I did finish Legendary. I realised that I didn't tell you all that much about it, other than the fact that it follows Donatella. But also, I don't know how much I can talk about it, considering I'm trying to talk to you about an entire series without spoiling it. There might end up being, like, some really mild spoilers in this video, just for the sake of it being an entire series that I'm talking about, but I'm gonna try and rein that in as much as possible. So in this one, Donatella is kind of featured in her own caraval. So Scarlet participated in one in the first book, and this is basically Donatella's caraval. And Donatella is basically forced to compete in caraval in order to find her mother. That is, like, her whole thing. She just wants to find her mother, who disappeared 7 years ago. And she kind of gets roped into it by Jax, the Prince of Hearts, who is the main character from Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is the reason why I wanted to get to this series. So we finally meet Jax. Yay. Awesome. He's a little bit of a dick, but also I can kind of see how he can go from being, like, the villain, quote unquote, to being the love interest in the next series. But Donatella also has this little, like, thing with Dante. We meet Dante in the first book. They have a few interactions with Scarlet, but Scarlet is much more interested in Julian than Dante. Donatella is a lot more interested in Dante, but she's also, like, really flirty and, like, out there and very extroverted. That's the word I'm looking for. I feel like in this one, the games part of Caraval is just not as prevalent as in book one. And the twists and turns and reveals in this one are just quite simply not as shocking as in book one. Like, I still ended up giving it a 3.5. But again, I just don't think this is a series that I'm going to think about ever again. But saying that, I have started the last book. So I am about halfway through it. I'm on page 191 at this point, which is when I ran out of Spotify listening hours. And my Spotify listening hours does reset in about an hour. So the last book in the series, Finale, is following both of the sisters. So this one is dual POV between Scarlet and Donatella. So each of them kind of have their own individual stories. Donatella's kind of definitely does carry into this one. And Scarlet's got, like, her own things going on. But honestly, I feel like you could have done book one and then just not put the epilogue in there and had it be a standalone, and it would have been perfectly fine. Like, yes, there are a couple of unanswered things. Like, at the end of book one, we still don't know who Legend is. But I feel like with Scarlet in this one, she's just not the same character as in the first book, when it's, like, her story. Because I feel like this entire series, because we had a book from Scarlet and we had a book from Donatella, I feel like it's now much more Donatella's story than it is Scarlet's. She has her own thing going on, but Donatella's story feels a lot more high stakes because she's still looking for her mother. I think this one is probably also going to be a 3.5. Like, I'm never going to think about this series again. I just kind of want to get through it so I can close out this video. I think the best thing about this series is probably the writing, but, like, in an objective way, because it's not doing anything for me personally. because it's very flowery, metaphorical writing, but like it's objectively really beautiful. But also, he smelled of moonlight. Bitch, the fuck does moonlight smell like? The fuck? So for the next hour or so, while I wait for my Spotify audiobook listening hours to reset, I'm probably just going to binge some YouTube, and then I'm going to finish this book, and then I'm going to close out this video, because I'm kind of over it. This video sucks, and I'm sorry. So I finally finished Finale, and honestly, I changed my rating for Legendary as well. I'm giving this a 3.25, and I've changed this to a 3.25 as well. So book 1 is a 3.5, book 2 and 3 are a 3.25. I'm never going to think about this series ever again, if I'm perfectly honest. This one is just full of love triangles, and it's the type of love triangle where there is a very clear, obvious right answer. And I just don't love it. It was just completely unnecessary. Like, I kind of get Donatella's love triangle. Scarlett's was fucking pointless. Why was that necessary? The pacing of this one was just really weird, and then the villain's whole personality change at the end of it just felt really off. The reason why it's like a 3.25 series is because, like, it's good and it's well written, and, like, for other people, I would recommend it. It just didn't do anything for me personally. So it's kind of the lower end of a well-written book, whereas some other books that I've given a 3.5 are kind of like the upper end of a bad written book. Like, it depends on like which direction you're coming from. I didn't love this. Speaking of books I didn't love, I only read 170 pages of this. I didn't even get to the 50% mark. So obviously I didn't get to this one, which is the sequel to this one, because this one was DNF'd. Which is really such a shame, because I really do enjoy To Kill a Kingdom. I just don't care for this one. It's just boring and basic, and it's trying so hard to be Six of Crows. Nothing will be Six of Crows. Like, it just didn't work. Didn't do anything for me, so that was also a no. But if nothing else, at least it got them off my TBR. So if you managed to get this far into the video, then leave a playing cards suit emoji in the comments down below. Either the hearts, clubs, spades, or diamonds. Whichever one takes your fancy. But for now, thank you so much for stopping by. It has been lovely having you here. And I hope to see you in another video coming very soon. Bye.